What is the true nature of our reality? Does NASA's version of what we see differ from what we can observe with our own eyes? Is it okay to question what we're told? We need to talk about the Great Awakening. As I've said so many times before, you can't force someone to wake up. Each individual has to choose to wake up and take the red pill and do the research necessary to wake up. Each of you listening to me right now has done that to some degree or another, and each of us arrived at our current understanding of how the world works through different means, different paths, and even by way of different topics. For me, the spark that lit the fuse was the 9/11 attacks and World Trade Center 7 specifically. For others, it may have been having a vaccine-damaged child, something I also identify with. While for others, your awakening may have been spurred by the dumbing down of our educational system, Common Core in the public schools, the removal of any talk of God in the public square, and the all-out attack on the family. Or maybe it was just that you discovered that the Federal Reserve is private. The point is, there are many subjects that can cause people to question official government or corporate narratives, leading them to wake up. And while everyone listening to this video right now is among the woke, clearly we don't all agree on every single subject or point within a subject. 9/11 is the perfect example. Planes or no planes? Nanothermite or directed energy weapons? You get my drift. In response to my interview with Crow 777, were many negative comments like this one. Quote, "For a long time, I've been a really avid subscriber of SGT Report. However, now that this unbelievably lowbrow video has been posted, I must carefully consider my future plans." And then it goes on to criticize our pseudo-scientific conversation. By the way, the interview has 16,000 likes and only 1.2 thousand dislikes. So my thanks to the majority of you who listened with an open mind and open heart. I know that there has been a shift in consciousness that has led many of us to question the very nature of our reality. Something Crow and I talked about after the call, which I will play for you at the end of this video. The spiritual nature of our human existence and human experience on Earth cannot be ignored or dismissed, no matter how hard our enemies try to convince us that we are nothing more than a random accident. In terms of researching the real truths of our world, my recent guest, Marty Leeds, said it best.
The people that run this world, they're not doing it for greed. They're not doing it for money. They're not doing it for land. They're doing it just as you said, Sean. They are trying to play God. End of story. If you want to figure out the true conspiracies of this world, you better be going to theology. You better be going to theology because that's what they're focused on.
Did NASA successfully land astronauts on the moon and return them safely multiple times in 1969 to 1970? Q says yes. I say no. Q is not my God. Q is a person or people just like you and me, and within our woke circles are many subjects upon which many of us may agree or disagree. Q has provided no proof of his assertion that the moon landings were real, and NASA can't provide it either because they lost the telemetry data.
I haven't seen anything that indicates the telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
And just one good look at the lunar lander with its 3 layers of tinfoil thick skin will leave you scratching your head. And in terms of this thing upon which we all live, on Saturday, March 2nd, Owen Troyer interviewed Justin Fall about his new film, Hollow Earth Chronicles, and recounted the fact that Nazis were communing with spirit entities or aliens to access previously unknown technologies.
I mean, you could essentially say this is all biblical. They're going into Sheol. They're communicating with these entities that are posing as higher entities, but it's actually Satan.
Exactly. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, Owen. Like, you just nailed it.
Thousands of those Nazis were brought to the United States after World War II under Operation Paperclip, where they went to work for NASA, which was founded in 1958. Given the vitriol spewed in the comments section of my interview with Crow 777, I thought this comment from Owen Troyer in his interview with Justin Fall was most serendipitous and timely.
I'm just kind of open-minded to everything. I'm not necessarily a geocentrist or flat earther, but I am curious about it all. In the larger scheme of things, I don't think it matters. Whatever it is, it's all created by God.
You see, friends, we are all at different stages of our awakening journey, and that's okay. But it's also okay to question everything. It's okay to search for the data and proof that will verify that all we've been taught from birth is either true or false. It's okay to look up at the sun, the moon, and stars, and it's okay to ask, what is the true nature of this world and our reality? The Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And friends, if that is true, it's never been more clear that wicked men who control the reality of this world don't want you to know it. And now, here's the call after the call. My parting words with Crow 777. Thank you for listening, and God bless. Oh, thanks a lot, you guys. That was great.
Thanks so much for having us. It's always great to get an opportunity to speak to an audience that may not be familiar with what we've done, because as you pointed out, if YouTube has its way, we're going to walk around in a delusional world.
Yeah, well, you can see what they're doing now. I mean, it's really, truly appalling. Like, just real quickly here, because I've got to boogie out here in 6 minutes, but just to chat this out a little bit, because I enjoy talking with you guys. I don't get to talk about this with my friends, neighbors, and colleagues, because none of them can speak the language about any of it. They literally, so I'm very isolated in my life. So this is my venting, is talking to folks. But literally, they've changed the secret sauce. So now you do a search for anything. Like, for instance, in this recent little microdoc I was working on, I wanted to show, I had mentioned NASA Project Bluebeam, and I wanted to show the documents as I brought that up in my microdoc, and I couldn't find them. You type in NASA Project Bluebeam into Google or YouTube, you'll get nothing.
See, this is why people don't understand that rich is just a control mechanism. The people that pull the strings at the top could spend as much money as they possibly could every day, all day, for the next 100 years and not dent what's at their disposal. What's going on here is a bid for the whole world takeover. It came into the light of day on 9/11,
yeah.
And has progressed onward since. But the truth is that mines began to come online around the millennium change.
Yeah, isn't that a weird thing? I brought that up in an interview. Look at how much I'm looking into things that I would have never dreamed of in 2012.
That's
I
right.
heard about this shift of consciousness that was going to happen.
Right.
Well, maybe it's actually happened.
It is happening, and it doesn't matter what they do. It's not going to stop. The only thing that can stop it is if they get iron-fisted control, and that's what they're desperately running towards, because too many people can see without the glasses, basically. And the real truth is that everything you frickin' know is wrong, except, you know, that's a shameful thing to admit, because we're all culpable. But the point I would make is, at the same time, all of us are beginning to understand that regurgitating something I memorized is not knowledge. It just isn't. And so now people are taking a fresh look, and, you know, yeah, they've eliminated a lot of us, but guess what? Crow 777 radio is still going. And there is not a country in the world with an internet connection that's not aware of the lunar wave. And that tells you something.
Yeah, it does. All right. Well, very, very powerful stuff. I think what I'll do when we mention the lunar wave is I may just put up a big graphic that says, I can't show this because YouTube will give me a strike.
YouTube will strike you. As a matter of fact, anything that's put on YouTube, they claim partial ownership for. And they have to do that anyhow, because they're taking the lion's share of the ad revenue. But what you should do is go get a link for it, and you can put that in the description.
Okay.
But part of the problem in doing that at this point is, if you have 100,000 people go click on that link, I'll tell you what happens next.
What? Nothing good for me.
Nothing good for you or me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Yeah. All right, guys, I got to run and go get the boys. So thank you so much.
All right, man.
Yeah, man.
I'll shoot you guys a link once it's live.
Cheers.
All right. God bless.
We've come to show that every space agency in this world is here for one reason: to ensure you know nothing about what is above your head, and that includes the sun and moon. And we're about to drop a huge bombshell with regard to the sun